Hello and welcome to today's Too Simple 10-minute webinar. Today's focus is exploring shapes with 2Design and Make. My name is Lydia and I'm an education consultant with Too Simple here in Melbourne. My colleague Sarah is also joining us today and will be monitoring the chat. So pop any questions or comments in there and Sarah will do her best to reply. As with all of our 10-minute sessions, we aim to leave you with something you can take straight back to your class or your children. And that could be in a remote learning situation, face-to-face, blended learning manner, or simply if you're using Purple Mash as an additional educational tool for your child or children at home. Okay, so let's get started. Here we are in my Purple Mash portal. This is my home page. And to access 2Design and Make, I need to open up my tools library. You'll see 2Design and Make appears here in the Maths and Data Handling section, and also further down here in Art and Design. Okay, today I'm going to launch the app straight away. However, I will come back and show you what we can do to set it as a to-do, which simply means to assign the task to your students. As with all our tools, they're designed with a simplistic entry level, but with an open-ended capacity to extend the learning from that entry level. The most basic concept covered in 2Design and Make is the relationship between two-dimensional and three-dimensional shapes. You can see here we can scroll through and select from a range of templates, some three-dimensional and also some two-dimensional. Today I'm going to show you the cube. Straight up you can see three visual representations of the cube: the 2D face, the 2D net and the 3D render. And this alone is really powerful to have all these views on one screen where you can view them together. The nets can be printed and cut out and built, and also the 3D render can be printed if you're lucky enough to have a 3D printer. To make any of these views the larger, you simply click and that will bring those up. I'm going to put the net up on the larger view to show you how students can further personalize and take ownership of this shape. They can use these paint tools over here to make marks on different faces. And then when they print and make this shape, they can actually start to further explore the relationship of the different faces and where they appear as they build their shape. In addition, if I pop back to my face view, you'll see here I have my points, and I can use the plus and the minus points to add additional points. I can add some points here, and I can also start to manipulate these points. When you do so, this does bring up a warning that your drawings may get lost. So sometimes it's best to do the drawings at the end. However, now that I've manipulated my points, you'll see straight away my net has been altered. And so too has my 3D render. So the students get a bit of a glimpse of how their manipulation has actually affected the end product. All this allows for a thorough investigation into 2D shapes, 3D shapes, and the relationship between the two. At any point, if you wish to start with a different template, you can simply come up here, select New, and you can select a different shape as your starting point. And there's a nice ute there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just quickly whiz back to our PowerPoint. This is a PowerPoint that I will send to all of you at the conclusion of the webinar, and it's just a little bit of a summary of what we're covering today. You'll see that we can show you how to navigate towards 2Design and Make, what you'll find once you open up 2Design and Make, and how you can use 2Design and Make. But here's where the real power comes in, the context. So I'd like to show you a few examples of different open-ended projects that some schools have completed using 2Design and Make. The first example here is a Year 1 class, and they're learning about rainforests. And part of this project had them thinking about the very many different types of plants that there are in a rainforest. There was a discussion about how rainforests are so big and so dense, some parts have never been visited by humans. And this sparked the idea that there could be plants that have not been seen by humans. And so Then they decided to use their imagination to pretend, or to imagine I should say, that they have been on a nature conservation exploration in the Amazon, and they discovered a plant that has never been seen before. So what they've done is they've then replicated this plant using 2Design and Make, and they've been able to print these out and to show people the plant that they discovered. But in addition to that, they can actually send their 2Design and Make nets to anyone around the world, and they too can build and see this plant that has never been seen before. The second example is based on an inquiry unit of work on natural disasters with an additional focus on the bushfires. Children needed to design a vehicle to assist with rescuing koalas who were caught in the fires or who lost their homes in the fires. They then needed to design a brochure to convince the government to purchase their vehicle rather than anyone else's using persuasive writing techniques. This end goal came into the design with students adding things like natural colours to make the koalas feel more homely and more secure, and things like large trays so that they can rescue more koalas in one trip. So they started to think about the economy of the vehicle and so on. This open-ended cross-curricular task actually used two Purple Mash tools. It used 2Design and Make to actually build the truck. It then also used a template within 2Publish Plus to create their brochure to persuade the government that their design is best and should be invested in. Just quickly, I'm going to nip back into Purple Mash. I'm going to exit 2Design and Make, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to add that context and build up these open-ended tasks using Purple Mash. And we can do that by assigning to the tools and adding that context while we assign it. And we do that by something called setting a to-do. So I'm going to click here. Instead of launching the app and opening it, I'm going to click set as a to-do. Straight away, I've got a title, and then here you've got a description. I can edit both of these and change them as much as I want or as little as I want. And I can also add further instructions and further context through an audio instruction here simply by pressing the record button. It will record my voice while I add those instructions. I press stop, can play it if I wish. Once I'm happy, I can add that into my instructions. And very quickly, I'll just nip through the rest of this process. I'm going to choose my Starfish class, Year 5s, and I'm going to assign that to them. So they have then received my instructions where I've added additional context, I've added my voice, and they can get started with, they'll have a little alert up on their alerts up here. I've got 7 currently, and they can get started within that tool with a specific context that you've given them. Heading back to my PowerPoint, and again I will send this through to you. There's a few additional examples here from classroom displays on different inquiry units where they've used 2Design and Make to support them with units of work around fairy tales and also transport. And just to finish up, here are some quick links to help you get in touch with Sarah and I. You can email us or call us, but also you'll find some really useful links on our YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. I hope you've enjoyed our session today. We look forward to working with you all very soon, and have a lovely afternoon.